Well, hello and welcome to Christmas. It is.
I like that.
This is just a fun episode that we've been looking forward to this year. A chance to focus on something fun, focus on something that's why we help people with their money. We want you to be able to be in a spot during this Christmas season where if you're a client of ours, or we hope that you've been listening to our content throughout the year, and this has made it a Christmas where what we hope is the money woes, difficulties, the things that occupy your mind and create cognitive load, that in all the ways that you could have this year to better take care of yourself financially has probably helped you have to deal with a lot of the challenges we've had this year. But the challenges is not what we're focusing on today, is it, Corey? See, I've been practicing to get it right when you take a drink.
I know. Which, we've got different mugs today. It's Christmas in the islands. This is my surfer's coffee mug. No, you just drank with your Yeti. Don't even try to pull that on me.
Hey, no, I knew you were going to do this to me, and I came ready. I even put water in it, and if I could figure out how to show the camera,
I'm telling you it's okay. I intentionally got a different mug. It says, I always like the tropical Santa theme, so I'm tropical Santa today with my surfer's coffee on Oahu. Go there.
Is that one of those tin cups? Like
No,
it's like metal?
ceramic.
It's ceramic.
No,
It just
like
looks
really
like.
hefty ceramic. It's great.
I got to tell you, I've had a difficult time drinking from ceramic coffee mugs ever since the Great Ceramic Massacre of the mid-'80s. And as a result, I just try to stay away from it and just stick with metal cups whenever I can.
All right. We're
Okay,
gonna do
with
a
that.
full episode on that history.
Yeah. Well, we'll need some time to have an episode on the Great Ceramic Tragedy and Massacre of 1985 because I haven't made that history up yet. So we're going to have to do some writing and then we could do a topic on it. I've got to say, since we're going to be talking a little bit today about CPI, the Christmas Price Index, and we're also going to be talking about the different blessings that we've seen in our friends, our families, our clients that have occurred this year. And for a minute, that's what we're going to focus on here together today. And we're so glad for those of you that are joining us here live because we're looking for you to use the chat and write in. Tell us what you've seen as a blessing this year. We'd love to give you a shout out. We'd love to allow the rest of the world to sort of watch this episode and maybe see some blessings that they have, but may have missed in the morass of noise that we've had this year. Some of it we very much had to listen to, but nonetheless, something that could be tough. Now, I think what is important, Corey, before we jump into it, is that we do talk about how crazy this year has been. Now, I'm one of those people, and maybe some of you have studied quantum mechanics, or you went through the same advanced degree in quantum mechanics I did, which is you watched all of the Avengers Endgame with the time travel, and you're pretty much equipped. We live in this
Or
crazy
Interstellar by
timeline.
Christopher Nolan. That was another primer. Yeah.
That one's a little too heady. I don't think there's even any superheroes in that. So you okay, for the people that love Corey, watch Interstellar. For the people that like me, go Wolverine. If Wolverine can't solve time travel. Oh wait, wrong one. That is
Actually, what we need to do is go to X-Men Days of Future Past.
That's what I was thinking. Yes.
Pre-Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like the ones that we pretend we didn't make anymore is what Disney says. Yeah.
Yeah, the recons or whatever. Well, I think that it's so it's been crazy. We had actual fire tornadoes in this country. All of Australia was on fire earlier this year.
We sat in my basement in August with a tornado literally less than 2 miles away, touchdown away from us.
When he says we, I was visiting him, and me, my kids, Corey's wife, his unborn baby, all down in the basement waiting for it to like pass over or the warning to be gone. Lights flickered a little bit. Let's see what else. Oh, I don't know if you heard this. This is brand new. There's a volcano that erupted in Hawaii. Like, wait, a near miss of an asteroid, a global pandemic, most contentious presidential election in history. And I don't know, there's probably more, but I
That's
mean,
enough. Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of people passed away from COVID, and here we sit in the midst of all of that in disagreement with the overriding narrative that people are putting out there right now, and saying instead that what we ought to do is count our blessings. So as we go along, we're going to have some fun looking at CPI, but it's not our regular CPI.
Not
What
that CPI.
Yeah, what is it, Corey?
Not the consumer price index, but you already said it, but the Christmas price index. There's PNC is a financial company that has done this for a lot of years, say something like 30. We'll see when we open up the link. And I've always had fun looking at it from year to year, and it's a fun way to deal with some financial implications and think about the holidays and the year that we've had. So, Paul, if you got that,
I got her. I'm gonna kick it over. All right, here we go. So it's the PNC Christmas Price Index. And this is just from that beautiful song, The 12 Days of Christmas. And now this looks like good news to start with on the old Christmas Price Index. It's down 58%.
So just for everyone who's listening and not seeing,
thanks,
basically
Corey.
what they did is went all the way through and said, how much would it cost this year to actually buy the full 12 days of Christmas for someone? And they've tracked that for 37 years. So this year, the Christmas price index in 2020 is down 58%.
Meaning that over last year, you could actually purchase everything in the 12 days of Christmas that's purchasable for 58%
That's purchasable
less.
will be very important.
Yeah, you'll see that in a minute.
Yeah.
And now when the reason this whole Christmas price index is fun is even the consumer price index is not totally applicable to us as individuals. You know, some people, you get in your mid-30s, have kids, buy a house, all that. Your inflation rate is through the roof. Like, I remember my inflation rate for hotels at one point in my life was like, I would rent a hotel room because I didn't have any money. And what I would do is take a sleeping bag because there is no way I'm even pulling back those sheets, let alone sleeping inside of them. Now, I started making real money, and 2 years later, I'm staying at the Ritz-Carlton.
It didn't make a difference. What kind of hotels do you stay at that have this a la carte? Like,
I don't stay in there anymore. And they didn't give me a discount. I'm saying I couldn't afford it from a health perspective. I was more afraid of those sheets than I am of COVID today.
Okay,
so
that makes good sense.
But as an example, a few years later, I'm able to stay at Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton. Well, that inflation had nothing to do with CPI. Your inflation may have nothing to do with CPI, but it is really interesting to think about it in terms of this Christmas price index. So let's take a look. We're going to hit these one at a time, and we're going to start with, by the way, Corey, kind of a treat for all of you. He promised to sing the whole song as long as his throat felt good enough today. I didn't get a chance to check. Corey, how are the pipes? Are you ready?
I can try.
All right, so we won't have you sing the whole thing.
Yeah.
But our first is a partridge in a pear tree. Now, what you have to purchase is both a pear tree and a partridge.
Right. So this is agricultural futures and livestock kind of almost in one. Yeah.
But no inflation on that. Pear tree unchanged and partridges.
And this is it's kind of more like, when price and demand, have a relationship with each other, it seems like people don't really want partridges anymore than they did last year. Like,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, inflation may have happened, but not for partridges.
Right.
Now, a very popular item is the turtle doves. They're up 50%. And the reason is turtle doves, much like gold, are believed to be by people a good store of future value. I don't know why turtle doves are up 50%, but
I think it's because all of these weddings that had to be really pared down and moved outside. They took the food and drink budget for the 80 guests, put it into the doves.
That's it. Yeah. Buy doves and invest the difference. It's a big
Yep.
strategy. I'm glad people are looking into it. Now, this one is going to be my mom's favorite. I hope that she's watching. 3 French hens. My mom loves chickens. Around her house is every kind of chicken figurine. If you know my mom, you can buy her any sort of chicken shirt, chicken figurine, chicken picture. That woman loves chicken.
Chicken chimichangas.
Chicken, yeah, she cooks chicken. But French hens are up 15.7%. Now, I have a theory on this. You ready for
I'm ready.
my chicken inflation theory? All the people who went out and kind of 2019 has started to get popular. Like, I'm going to have a little mini farm at my house. I'm going to do raised flower beds. I'm going to get a few chickens. And then people were locked out of the pandemic and they're like, well, I got nothing to do. So I'm going to get a ton of chickens, hence chicken inflation.
Or you sent me the article. There's a price fixing allegation. This might be a conspiracy amongst some of the big names in chicken sellers. We will leave them off because it's ongoing litigation. But Chick-fil-A is asserting that they were wrongly the subject of some price fixing. So
yeah, it could be the price fixing scandal. I would like to see them add to the price index a subcategory to 3 French hens, which is cost of those little tiny chicken bites from Chick-fil-A. What are they called? They're magical. I don't know. I think they put opium in the bread around them because I can't stop eating them. 4 calling birds. Now, for those of you who perhaps are on the younger side watching our stream, these are not birds having anything whatsoever to do with Twitter. I know calling sounds like it has to do with the phone.
They're obsolete. Who wants them?
Nope. This is just birds that sing. And while 4 of them are a bit pricey, nobody cared any more about having loud birds in their house this year than last year. Now, this
Spotify
is Corey's.
kept their rates pretty solid. They kept them level. So people are like, yeah, it's fine.
Corey, your favorite.
This is my favorite. This is where I'm gonna get a little naughty here.
Wait, you got to switch it back. I don't know if people can see that. So he's got this shirt with sequins on it. He rubs it one direction, and it says nice. Now, just for the record, as you do that, I do want to say it looks a little naughty when you rub the sequins.
It forces you into this kind of naughty position.
It's true. Like a self-frisking, like you're checking yourself for weapons, but a little slow.
So gold went up by 14.5% this last year, which feels great. But when everybody's grandpa told you to invest your money in gold, in a year that gold went up 14.5%, the S&P went up something double that. Even with the big V in the middle of the year, there's like incredible growth. And we have so many thoughts on this that Paul promised we could do an episode after the new year just on gold and inflation. So we're going to look at just how meaningful gold's increase has been year over year, but it's not the most inflating part of this index by far.
Let's just say we're not saying it's not a store of value, but what we are saying is its long-term return may be nothing like what our grandfather left us under the impression of when he said, all you got to do is buy gold. Well, in my case, my dad was 50 when I was born, so you got to buy gold. I still have his gold in my safe. He passed away a couple of years ago, and it's actually in my safe right now. All his gold. Didn't do him a damn but a good. Mom, don't laugh at that. If you're watching, don't laugh. She did write back, by the way. She said, don't laugh. A guy took a picture of my chickens on Friday. I'm going to have a talk with that man. I don't want a man taking pictures of my mom's chickens if I haven't even met him yet. If you know what I mean.
Too racy.
Come on.
Show.
Mom.
A little too. We don't want to.
Mom, we're talking later today. Alan is back in the chat. Love this guy. He said, last time I bought gold, it dropped by 14% the next day. Not doing that again. Better yet, Alan, if you ever do get it again, do it on the morning of one of our live streams so you can let everybody else know that you specifically got into gold.
Right.
And
actually, we could talk about a contract for a new segment of every live stream called Alan Buys Gold. And then we'll just, Alan, what did gold do today? And then he's just like, hang down.
Like just our quick stock market update on a few different topics. Like somebody, and all it is one of our clients just yelling in the microphone. It went up, it went down, and that's the update on that stock or that commodity. I like it. 6 geese a laying. Now way up, way up. Do you know why?
Well, because that's real food. You know, you can't go to the grocery store in the midst of the shutdown. Can't go pick up your eggs, but your geese are laying them down. You picking up what I'm laying down? You picking up what they're laying down? See what I'm saying?
Oh, I didn't think it was that. I thought it was back in Washington, D.C. They're trying to get all the stimulus done, and they were just trying to geese the skids. All right, next one. 7 swans a swimming.
Jordan, later you can put in the womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, please. Yeah, we need to get sound effects for live stuff and just let Jordan go. Better yet, I'm going to get a soundboard like Jim Cramer. I already got my sleeves rolled up. Right. And what I won't do is tell our audience they're idiots. I'll just push funny sounding buttons. So, Jordan, if you would do that'd be my Christmas present. That'd be great. Like sound board buttons. Yeah. You don't have to put bodily functions in there, but I'm not saying I would have you remove them.
One of those little keychains with like 6 buttons that have, that'd be perfect.
Well, what I'm curious about is because I want to get one of those old decks that has the digital buttons so you can change the buttons, is I'm curious if he does put any sort of bodily sounds on it at all, what pictures he'll use. So 7 swans a swimming is also 0. Now, strangely enough, swans are just a little more expensive than I thought. They're almost $2,000 a whack.
Yeah.
And they'd be more than that in a lot of cities because you have sales tax. I'm assuming swans they're not considered a grocery, right? So we're going to assume there's sales tax. They're not groceries because they're swimming. 8 maids a milking. Now, they just make milking, a maid that's milking, be minimum wage. So I guess that isn't terrible, but it's not really an item you're buying. It's more of, here's how long we think it takes for 8 maids to milk for, I don't know, 15 minutes I don't know how long it takes to milk a cow. Anybody in the comments knows how long it takes to milk a cow? Let us know. I want to know by hand because I don't think these maids are using the sophisticated machinery. In fact, that is a little bit of a problem because you think they would use in this index the ability for like 8 maids could crush it with the new technology for milking.
Yeah, but it's like, it's like artisan milking. You want hand milked milk.
That's true.
For something like this.
Like somebody who can set the bucket like 3-4 feet away and just get that.
Right.
Like get the cow tilts to the side just a little and you can get a little extra distance. I like that.
It tastes better when it's hand milked, especially if one of the maids milking had like chapped hands and she put the Vicks on beforehand and then did the milking, gets that nice like vapory taste of the milk.
Well, and I got to tell you, the thing that I don't like about the graphic they chose here, her forearms are nowhere big enough to be a maid a milking. 9 ladies dancing. Now, for the record, this is like, I don't know, our entire listener base and the demographic. So let me just say, for those of you just listening on the podcast,
starts to get worried about what everyone's going to say.
This is like maybe we should have a button for Corey that just puts like a little radioactive like thing underneath me whenever I start to cue up a story he doesn't like the sound of. No, what I'm saying is like this is like dancers coming to dance at a conference or like there's a lot of millennials out there may not have really had much experience with this song, and you hear 9 ladies dancing, you might think of something different. I'm just saying that PricewaterhouseCoopers left it in the old meaning of what it meant to have 9 ladies dancing. Yes. 10 Lords of Leaping also not available. Now, these things are significantly driving down the Christmas price index this year because they're saying you can't hire Lords of Leaping. Not enough room on the ice for all 10 to socially distance while leaping. Same with our 9 ladies.
Here's a tip for PNC. I might have gone in a different direction because it's not that you can't get it. There's such a thing as the black market. There's a price out there for everyone. There are 10 lords out there that would be willing to do some leaping with all the risk to their health for the right price. So
you might have to pay them in Bitcoin. might have to pay them Bitcoin. You might have to find them on the dark web nowadays, but they will be. Yeah, I think it, like in our state, just getting together with 10 lords of leaping is only a gross misdemeanor. So you end up with a ticket and you're back out in the world. Okay, 11 pipers piping. Well, you can't have people piping when they're blowing virus into the room they're piping in. Now, I would think outdoor piping would be okay.
How many articles would a piping piper pipe?
You know, I just realized again, for the listening only audience, not seeing the visuals, this is really important. Marijuana legalization did pass in some new states in the last several years. Pipers piping
that could be,
has nothing to do with cannabis, okay? So, yeah. But this is somebody who's like blowing on a horn that has no valves. It's just like a straight horn. And last but not least, 12 drummers drumming. Now, I, again, disagree. These guys could wear masks. 12 of them could get together, and they could beat their drums. I personally think on these last few, 12 drummers drumming, pipers piping, 10 lords of leaping, I think that they were just lazy. I think what they should have done is just a little bit like to your black market, or have said it's unchanged, because look at what happens here. True cost of Christmas in the song. If you bought all 364 presents as you recount every day, it's down 38%, but that's entirely artificial because they just said not available. Now, this is probably a good time for us to transition a little bit to blessings, because I do think there's something to notice in this. And one is, there are things that many of us are not doing now. Okay? Yep. Like for everyone who meant that what they meant to do this year was work out, similar to last year, maybe the year before that. And yet, they didn't get a chance to get it done, but they kept their gym membership. Well, this year, you can cancel your gym membership because you can't go. Now, I say that a little bit in jest, but it's that there are things that amidst lockdowns, amidst travel restrictions, people have really had to shift and change their lives. And I think one of the big blessings we've seen as we've been talking to clients and as my family and I travel the country talking to different people is that, one, they're finding out that they can have there's things that we miss, but that we can have a really good life being with the people that we chose to live under the same roof with. I think I've watched people's marriages get super contentious during this and them have totally new breakthroughs. Some, we're not going to pay attention to any of the negative stuff, but some people have had major breakthroughs in their marriages and are better than ever. And as a result, people are actually spending less money. Not too dissimilar to PNC's 12 Days of Christmas, that it's down 58%. And it is in part because there's things that we can't do that we would have done prior. And yet we can take that, what would be viewed as a terrible situation, and we repurpose it to getting clear on our aims for the future and what we could do to redirect funds toward that. I got a great blessing, actually, from Corey's mom that she wrote in, that they have been able to see patients during the pandemic, even though so many people have lost jobs. So they're just super thankful to be open and operating. That is certainly our case. I'll give one from us here at Sound Financial Group. I don't know if all of you would know this, but we started in January of 2017 saying we won't do any in-person client meetings anymore. That we wanted our in-person time to be something where we can just get to know our clients, where we can talk about social things, anything, religion, we don't care, any topic except their finances. And what that did, I was just reminded of it yesterday. We're onboarding a new client, a successful business owner, who he said, one thing I don't like is that this guy keeps calling me and he wants to get together for lunch, all that. But I know he wants to get together for lunch because he's going to turn it to business. He wants to get to coffee because he wants to sit down with me in person, and I know the pivot he's going to make. He's done it a bunch of times. That's what we wanted to let go of. Now, we did that in January 2017 so that our clients wouldn't have any drive time, so that they could invest the appropriate amount of time in learning about their money before making decisions. But it opened up the ability for us to travel the country or for our clients to travel, and they can do their meetings with us while they're traveling, so they're not in the midst of their work days and they're reflecting. And that served us really well this year. We didn't do it for any of the reasons that it turned out well for us this year. But that going remote years ago, when everybody said we were crazy for doing it, and it worked out.
Paul, I remember we were looking around a lot of different websites earlier this year to get some ideas for updates to ours, and pop-ups kept coming up when we navigated. Like, here's what we've done to deal with COVID, and Paul wanted to just, can we have a pop-up that says we didn't need to do anything? We were already ready.
Yeah. Well, I am sometimes referred to as an apocalyptimist, yes. Which is, I think everything in society might go right down the crapper, but I'm prepared, so I'm going to thrive. And so I remember early on, everybody's like, I ran out, get toilet paper, get this. I'm like, well, like, that's one thing I got to say. I'm going to poke a little bit of fun at all of us, media, everything else. And this, slightly graphic, but not too bad. Remember when everybody was running out of toilet paper? People are freaking out and losing their minds. I love my wife. She looked at me. She's like, have people not heard of a washcloth? She's like, why are people freaking out about missing toilet paper? Everybody's got washcloths. You got a washing machine? It's fine. You don't need to get an extra roll of toilet paper for anybody. Now, I am thankful that we had a big stock of it. I'm not going to lie. But it wasn't the biggest tragedy ever. All we had to do is lean back and go, is there anything else that can do the same job? What about you, Corey? I love
think about the year and all the different experiences. Like, again, this virus and the disruption that it was for our year, we'd certainly unwish it if we could. It's not there's no kind of blessing in disguise about that itself. And yet we can still make the choice about, what we're going to dwell on in the middle of the year. And I just like to think about all the experiences that we had that wouldn't have happened in the way that they happened, and some cool things. Danielle's birthday was right in the middle of the shutdown, and we normally would have done something with family or tried to create some experience, go out into the world, and we couldn't do that. So I did it in our house and put up a projector screen and made it look like we were somewhere else outside, and got members of her family to collaborate with me on different dishes and send an ingredient or a recipe and figure it out. So we have this experience that, absent COVID, we just never would have thought of doing, and now we have a cool memory in the midst of all that. We've also got a baby coming, which is really exciting. And before anyone calls her a pandemic baby, we had already made that choice. It just so happens to line up with all that. It didn't hurt, but we were already.
It didn't. Let's just say it opened up the schedule a little. So
a little bit.
I guess one of my biggest blessings in 2020. We've seen things happen for families. We've seen businesses that have made amazing pivots this year and turned out quite well. We had several businesses thought they were smoked back in March of this year. Like, we may not make it through this. I mean, and I just spoke to a few of them that were in that mindset, having no idea what was coming for them. Profitability's up. They just made their pivots when they needed to, the way they needed to. And they were in an industry that wasn't like, I run this restaurant in this location. They had a business that allowed for a pivot a little bit easier. And even caught up about some of my friends that own restaurants and how quickly and early some of them pivoted that are doing okay now, like keeping their doors open, keeping a lot of their employees, not all. And it's I think, a testament to just the American people and what we do. But my biggest personal blessing actually comes from something in January this year. Corey, let's just say, I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit because I didn't ask you about this ahead of time. I'll see if I regret this decision in a minute.
Anyone listening is like, well, okay, what's different about this week than any other week? Yeah.
Well, I do try to at least acknowledge that I didn't set you up to win. Yeah. So, but he always wins. How would you describe just generally my personality this year versus all the past years you've known me?
Yeah, there is definitely a kind of a sense of an old Paul versus a new, and I think it is something a little bit more smoothness around interacting with things that come at you in life.
That's what Corey's trying to say is I used to be a jerk. and now not as much. So one of the things that happened earlier this year is I just got exposed to, and I know it sounds silly, but it has nothing to do with necessarily my faith, although I think my faith kind of contributed to it. But it's just a YouTube video from this famous author where he was trying to cure people of anxiety with this kind of metaphorical story. It's about a 23-minute long video. And I watched it a couple of times and didn't think anything of it. And Corey and I took a road trip to go to a conference. I don't know if you guys remember, but back like circa January 2020, we would see people in person still. So we went to one of these things called a conference where we would see other people and we would shake hands and hug. It was weird. So when total debacle, the entire travel experience, the rental car was like 4 hours waiting. Like it was just bad across the board. And I was cool as a cucumber. And what I realized was the contribution this video had for me. And I was somebody who was short-tempered. And yet what I would do is just, I'd learned enough to not be a totally awful human being and look and behave angry all the time. But I was revving at like 90 mile an hour right under the surface. I just looked calm and cool. And something changed all of that for me. And I couldn't have had a better year to deal with all the business challenges that occurred with the pandemic or being locked down with my family and all that. And it couldn't have been a better blessing for me to have discovered that at the beginning. And my wife told me the other day, 2020 has been such a great year for us. It makes up for any difficulty it was for us in the prior 12 years. And so that's what I'm most thankful for this year. And we're super thankful for all of you that engage with our content, listen, share it, because we know that you're sharing
more than ever, by the way. This like all of you interacting with us, listening to this content, diving into this philosophy it's grown in record numbers this year. It's very exciting.
Well, and what we hope it does, we know by the numbers of the downloads that not everybody listening to either watching it on YouTube or listening to the podcast or just the sale of the books. Like all of that, we know that everybody acquiring our content, enjoying our content, learning from our content is not a client. And that's the object. The object is we hope to continue to shift the way that people think. We actually have had reports of people calling and asking us questions where other financial advisors have sent them our content. And it made a difference for them. And that's what we're after. And what we hope more than anything is we continue to do this over the years is we create enough of a press in this philosophy that actually modifies what other advisors do with their clients and their businesses, because we make some of our concepts so ubiquitous, people can't get away from them, including the people who would try to serve their clients the same way big box financial retail taught them. And we hope to just crack that shell enough. So if you're listening and you have another advisor, forward these episodes to them. Maybe not this one, probably not the best first impression of us with their Santa hats and ugly Christmas sweaters on. I did think about doing this sleeveless, by the way, like just taking off the dress shirt underneath and going full Hulk. I decided not to, mainly because I didn't think that my biceps would fit. It's just not wide enough camera. So we're hoping that our content will shift the mood enough out there that more people are getting this kind of thinking. More people are learning more about their decisions, not just buying financial products. And as always, in this year and every year, know that we're excited to do our next live stream in January, that we're really looking forward to continue to bring you great new content. And we, more than anything, with nearing on 200 episodes, that this episode, like all the others, has been some contribution to you being able to design and build a good life.